Okay, here we are. I'd like to announce our closing keynote, and Yüksel.
Thank you very much. So hi again, everyone. Last time we met was early in the morning, so we had 30 seconds, 1 minute for pitching, telling you my session. I'm so happy to see most of you still here. You should be proud of yourself. You came this far. You spent a beautiful Saturday inside with learning and sharing instead of other activities. We are so proud of ourselves. So this is the last session. I'm really happy to be delivering the closing keynote. I have 25 minutes. I'm between you and the closing, so I'll try to make good use of it. I have heavy content, but feel free to ask questions along the way. If I can quickly answer, I'll do my best. So, minimum viable psychology for Agile teams. First, let me say something about myself. My name is Ender. It's a Turkish name, but it's also like the one in the book, Ender's Game. I have a background in computer science. I have degrees in computer science, and then I worked as a scientist and then software engineer, and then Scrum Master, and now I'm working as a development manager. So, and then I came to a point that psychology is so important in whatever we are doing, and I'll try to give you concrete examples of how we can make use of it in an agile setting. I work for a company called SimCorp in Denmark, Copenhagen, and this company, we deliver investment management software. We have a fairly big organization. We are using Scaled Agile Framework and less frameworks together. The reason I'm here today, I really believe that sharing is caring. So I would love to hear feedback from you. I tried to give feedback to the 7 sessions I attended today. Thank you so much. It was so good. As I started thanking people, thank you very much, Fariz and Organization Committee. Thank you very much to sponsors. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to our photographers and camera people who never stopped all day. Thank you so much. And I kind of adapted my talk because this is the last session. So thanks to some of the speakers, I forgot to thank the speakers, you already covered some of my stuff. So I kind of adapted my talk. So for example, who are you? The first speaker asked, and then it was kind of a polling. Now I have an idea about your role. Now, what do you think about psychology? That's kind of a difficult question. But can I see some hands if you believe that psychology is so important in what you are doing already? And what I can see for the recording is plenty of hands you have to believe. So, psychology is the science of behavior and mind, and it is considered as a new science because it's just 150 years old. On the other hand, computer science is the theory, experimentation, and engineering based on the use of computers. It is definitely a new science. So it started more or less in 50s. Now I will give you some real examples. So let's see how we work with machines and code. Can we predict their behavior? So I don't know if it is visible or not, but here is a code written in a language, and can we predict what it will return? Do we have developers around? No. Yeah. Do you know the answer? Louder. 4. Yes, correct. And that's my point. You can predict the behavior of code. Now I'll give you a situation, real situation, with human instead of code. See, this is a newly formed team. This team has 4 developers. Developer 1, developer 2, 3, and 4. And each developer has a different skill set in terms of domain knowledge. So they have similar technical skills, but there is one developer, developer 3, which has a different domain knowledge. Now the question is, Anybody doing scaled agile or less or Nexus here? Okay, never mind. The question is, when the team is pulling features from a backlog, what will the behavior of this developer tree be? Do you think he will pull from the top of the backlog with the intention of learning the area that he doesn't know? Do you think that he will not touch anything that he doesn't know? Can I see some hands if you think about that? And the third one, do you think he will play all the tricks not to pull any item that he doesn't know? Well, the answer is there is no single answer. I have seen all of them happening. Okay, so working with code and computer science was easier. And then suddenly I need to work with humans. Then things are tricky. Along the way, I want to give small tips to you. So for example, I think it was the third speaker or something, Maida, has mentioned that don't force people to new teams just to achieve cross-functionality. So this is a case of it. So don't just throw this poor developer just to have a team that can cover different skill sets. Instead, take the time to explain the motivation, the reason, and allow time, and most important, create a fail-safe environment for learning. Then I give you another example. This is about recruitment, and this is also a real story. So you're hiring a new member to a, let's say, Scrum team, and then you are kind of, remember Yuta talked about sociocracy, so you want to take the input of the team as well, right? So you present 3 candidates to the team, and these are the candidates. So candidate 1 has below average skills compared to the team. Candidate 2 has similar skills. Candidate 3 is above the team's skill level. So what do you think your team's comment for candidate 3 will be? Do you think they will say, oh yeah, we can learn things from him or her? Or do you think they will say, well, we will be able to accomplish more with this team, so with this new candidate, so let's hire? Or do you think they will honestly say that we will look pale beside the new candidate? What do you think? I honestly saw more C's than A and B. And I was happy because I thought that we had the psychological safety so they could tell this to me. I was unhappy that they couldn't see the benefits of getting a skilled member. So if you can establish the growth mindset, and I'm not telling you how to do that, and if you can encourage your teams to move out of the comfort zone, then you can probably avoid this kind of situations. The last example, again, real example. So you get a team that is composed of really traditional team members. And they are young, but they are used to working in traditional ways. And then you organize sessions. So, you know, Scrum Master has different hats. In the beginning of the team's journey, Scrum Master has the teacher hat. You're teaching the principles and values. You also teach technical excellence. So assume that you had sessions about pair programming, test-driven development, specification by example, anything that you saw value in it. And what do you think will happen after this session in such a team? Do you think that they will thank you for teaching them for all these great things? Do you think that they will get interested and they will take it from there, work themselves? Or do you think that they will hate you and never ever try all this? All of the above. But then again, C is the most frequent thing I know, to my experience. So again, in these cases, really pushing the changes impatiently doesn't work well. I think one of the keynote speakers also mentioned the change frameworks, how to introduce change. That's really important. So you really need to create the environment and and make sure that the team sees the problems, so they take ownership and they want to learn this themselves instead of you or somebody else dictating or showing them. Right, so this is a video about unintentional blindness. Anybody watched this video today or before? Yeah, today actually there was a session with this video. So thanks to my fellow speaker who actually took the time to watch the video, so I don't have to do it. But I can summarize it for those of you who didn't have to have the chance to see that. So in this video, the audience is given a task to watch the white team and to count how many times they pass the ball. And as they are focused on that, they don't see the black gorilla passing by and doing this. So the message is we are really missing a lot of what goes around us. And we have no idea what we are missing so much. So in that session, the example was Scrum Master's duties. So my example is different. My example is when you work with plenty of teams, like you can have an Agile release train or a team of teams. Sometimes you're so focused on your team's work items. That can be your team's features or user stories. But you are in a team of teams setting, you need to pay attention to what other teams are doing. There are really some cases that two teams in the same Agile release train are doing the same thing without knowing of each other. Right, so I will take you through several psychological topics quickly. I will not go into depth. I'll be happy to discuss them with you after the session, or I suggest that you also take this as pointers. The first thing is cognitive bias. How many of you heard of cognitive bias? That makes my life so easy. How many of you have some training in psychology? Ooh, that scares me, right? So, there were some, yeah. So cognitive bias is about the deficiencies of human brain, which actually results in us making wrong decisions and making mistakes. So this book, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, is the Bible of the cognitive bias, so we really recommend you to read that. And there are plenty of different cognitive biases, so there is no way we can go through all of them, but you'll see some. This is not cognitive bias, this is about team size. So there is a law called Dunbar's number. It's the number of relationships a person can maintain. And when you look at the team sizes in Scrum teams or Kanban teams or two pizza teams, whatever teams, DevOps team is not a good idea. So this is based on this law. And when you go to Scaled Agile framework, there is this train concept, Agile release train concept, and you see the number on the top, 150. It's also about the limitations of our brain to keep relationships. Availability heuristic. So things that come to our mind easily really affects our judgment. So the information we use to make decisions is so small compared to the whole information. Do you sometimes recall, like, can I ask if any of you are using Agile Poker? Yeah, you do. And that is an example of, overcoming this, because maybe my decision, my sizing is based on my information, that's little, but I would like to also hear the rest's judgments. False dichotomy. So I see there are a lot of parents around, and sometimes you need to tell your kids, you need to choose between this and that. We do that to Agile teams as well, which is not good. Then we are limiting their solutions. So really the world is full of false dichotomies. Pratfall effect. Today I listened to some sessions where we talked about making mistakes, and you appear more human doing that, and that's really something in the literature. Dunning-Kruger effect. This was a session I didn't attend today, but I saw it in the Twitter feed. So thanks to the speaker, whoever that was. So people mistakenly see them better than in reality. So you see the I know everything in the top, but in reality it is an illusion. Imposter syndrome, however, is on the other side of the spectrum. So in imposter syndrome, you remember there was a session in the morning, the speaker talked about her lack of confidence. You are all Agile coaches and you all have certifications, I don't. But in the end, she did a great job. So she really demonstrated what I was going to talk about. You also see that in recruitment. So statistics show that the male candidates apply to the positions even though they don't really fulfill the requirements. However, the female don't do that. So there's something with imposter syndrome in that. Archetypes. This is a super old study, but still important. It's from Carl Jung. So if you can, figure out the archetypes of your team members, then you can really adjust your approach to them. Confirmation bias. So we really tend to go for the data that supports our idea. I see that you're nodding and smiling. Yeah, it looks like innocent, but in the end it's dangerous, right? Halo effect. That's also one of the dangerous things. So you believe in people who speaks first, who speaks louder, even though they are incorrect. And I can give plenty of examples on that. So for example, people will try to sell you the best practices. That's best practice, we have to do it. That's actually halo effect, because it's not certain that it will work for your situation. It's really better you experiment different things. And so these were the pointers I wanted to convey. But it's not only about psychology. So how many Scrum Masters are there in the room? Yeah. So I have a very sincere recommendation to you. Please don't book meetings right before lunch, because the level of sugar in your blood is really low. So you might really get to very wrong conclusions. So that was it. So all the nice things are short. Thank you so much to these people. Thanks to all of you. And of course, thanks to our dear sponsors. And I think I can take one question maybe? Yeah, super. So any questions?